From its worst start in 3 decades to a share of the conference title? Sounds weird, doesn't it? Well, that's the unorthodox reality of this Maryland men's lacrosse campaign. Now with the postseason starting, can the Terps rekindle their initial Final Four aspirations? We'll break down those prospects and more on this edition of the Left Bench in Focus.
Welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Christian Andriolas. Next to me is Aidan Currie, and we're here to deep dive into a team that has been up and down after being ranked the preseason #1 team.
Yeah, I haven't been to a music park in a while, but it's been a roller coaster of a season, as you said.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this team, preseason ranked #1, added all these guys, and a little bit up and down, but another chance to pull it together towards the end of the season.
Yep, still got opportunities. Now, with 2 weeks after blitzing Rutgers at CQ Stadium, Maryland faced the same opponent at the same place in Saturday's Big Ten tournament first round. The score is closer, but the result remained the same. There are fast starts, and then there's this. Henry Dodge to Leo Johnson straight from the faceoff, giving the Terps a lead after just 7 seconds. Eric Spanos doubled the advantage at the end of the first quarter, and those 2 goals represented the difference as Maryland led 6-4 at the half. The Terps came out of the break on a 4-1 run, allowing them to stave off Rutgers' fourth quarter burst in a 13-10 win. Maryland moves on to face 2-seeded Penn State in Thursday's semifinal.
Maryland men's lacrosse has been fighting to escape the early hole they dug themselves by losing 3 of their first 4 games, but are now fighting for an NCAA tournament bid. As I mentioned before, Maryland men's lacrosse started the season ranked as the consensus #1 team. After losing in the national championship game for the second straight year in 2025, Maryland's experienced returners, along with the addition of 3 Yale transfers, was thought to be the recipe to get over the hump. But losses to Syracuse, Princeton, and Notre Dame dropped Maryland to 1-3 early with a grueling schedule ahead. The Terps have kept their postseason hopes alive by winning 6 of their last 8 games, but still have work to do for a chance to make it back to Memorial Day weekend. This season's leading scorers, Eric Spanos and Leo Johnson, fueled the quarterfinal win over Rutgers on offense. Combined with Brian Ruppel in goal, the Terps need their best players to perform to stay alive.
And now on to some hardware. The hard shells often shine in the end of season Big Ten awards, and this time it was the veterans who earned most of the plaudits. Last week, 3 Terps were named to the All-Big Ten first team, including senior A.J. Larkin, who was a unanimous selection, fellow senior and faceoff specialist Henry Dodge, and the Terps' leading scorer, Leo Johnson. Fellow graduate attacker Eric Spanos got a second team nod despite missing a few games. He scored 22 goals in just 9 contests. And onto a rookie, Matt Higgins was Maryland's lone representative on the Big Ten All-Freshman team after scoring 3 and assisting 7. Congrats to those guys on terrific regular seasons.
With the season coming down to 1 game at a time, who better to break down with us than Maryland's leading scorer, Leo Johnson? Here's that conversation.
Joined here by Leo Johnson on TSC in Focus Men's Cross. Leo, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so Christian and I kind of want to start by talking about this past Saturday's game against Rutgers. A couple weeks ago when you played them, kind of blitzed them. Now here, a little bit more of a competitive game. What was kind of like the differences between those games? What was like the more challenging part of this game, and how did you guys kind of overcome that?
Yeah, playing a team twice in that sort of span's a tough task. Credit to them. They came out and fought and played a great game. But I think for us it was a lot of stuff we can clean up. Watching the film back yesterday and today. But again, like credit to them, they came out there and fought. The season on the line for both of us, obviously. But yeah, and I think the difference. They obviously came out and played a clean game, and I think a lot of the credit goes to them in that respect.
Yeah, and every game has almost felt like a must-win since you guys had that 1-3 start, and especially now because you guys are fighting for the postseason, it's even more the case. How has the team been able to keep the season alive after the tough start while playing such a grueling schedule?
Yeah, no, I think our mentality each week, our coaches preach it, taking it game by game. Every game's the biggest game because it's the next one. More focusing on that than necessarily the bigger picture. I think if we can when we focus on the day-to-day process and what we have to do kind of that week, the rest of it kind of takes care of itself. Focusing on the bigger picture, you can kind of get lost in that, and that's kind of not been our focus at all. Our focus has been on kind of making the next game the biggest game because it is the next one, not necessarily because it is a must win or not.
Mhm. And then kind of more on a personal note for yourself, this being your first year at Maryland after transferring from Yale, 1 year playing under Coach Tillman, obviously 1 year is relatively a short time span, but do you feel like there's anything you've learned about yourself, either as a person or a player, being here at Maryland?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the preparation that he takes and the pride he takes in that has been really cool to see, and I've definitely kind of integrated that into my kind of preparation for each game. Kind of watching some more film, adjusting some things, and just spending the day to day with him and all of our coaches, Coach Phipps, Coach Bernhardt, Coach Bransky, all of them, take such pride in what they do, and just being around them on a day to day basis has definitely rubbed off on not just me, but all of us in this program. And it's been really awesome to be here for this year, and definitely a lot of life lessons I'll take after this year. And, obviously throughout my 5 years of playing college sports, a lot that I can take from that.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask another question about Coach Tillman, and he has a lot of experience leading teams into the final weekend. What's been his message to the team down the stretch to kind of help you guys in the stretch run?
Yeah, and I think it's pretty similar. It's been consistent throughout the year. I mentioned it earlier briefly, but I mean, pretty much making the next game the biggest game because it is the next one, not necessarily because of anything else besides that. Obviously, like we would be grateful for the opportunity we have, to keep playing and to be playing with each other each week. A lot of it revolves around those two main themes, and keep kind of preparing for each game, like it is our last, because you never know when it might come.
Right. Well, that's unfortunately all the time that we have for questions today, but we thank you again for joining us, Leo.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
You
Yeah,
can keep
thank
up
you.
with, yeah, you can keep up with the rest of the men's lacrosse season right here on Terrapin Sports Central. Yeah, and it was great catching up with Leo earlier. Obviously, a very, very well-spoken guy. I think some of that's the Yale education coming through, don't you think?
Yeah, Yale education, obviously they get a great education over there. I would know because I grew up 25 minutes from the campus and my mom worked for the school, so it was pretty cool to talk to somebody who kind of followed a similar path as me, went from Connecticut and then here to Maryland for a year.
Now, switching gears a little bit, an often overlooked part of college athletics is mental health. Affected by loss, one Maryland men's lacrosse player has turned tragedy into advocacy.
TSC's Daniel Stein has the story on the importance of mental health in college sports.
CV88. It's just letters and numbers to everyone else, but for Terps faceoff man Mitchell Lloyd, it means everything.
So his name was Kaz Valari, and his number was 88 for the club team that we played on together. So being able to wear that just allows me to play in his honor.
Valari and Lloyd were teammates playing for Philadelphia Freedom Lacrosse Club, but in the summer before Lloyd's senior year of high school, everything changed.
I got a text from one of my friends him and I shared a mutual friend who went to the same high school as him. And she texted me and she was like, "Hey, did you hear the news?" I was like, "What news?" And she's like, "Kaz Valari passed away." And it was a complete surprise.
Lloyd's club team wore shirts featuring the message "Be Like Kaz" and CV88 on the sleeve after his passing. Nearly 5 years later, Lloyd has carried on the tribute.
And it says CV88 on the tape, but the deeper meaning is "Be Like Kaz," because he's someone who really cared about everyone. He's someone who wanted everyone to succeed as much as he wanted himself to succeed.
Lloyd's impact on Maryland goes beyond lacrosse. He also helped create Affirmation Day, an initiative where Maryland student athletes wrote positive messaging on sticky notes and placed them throughout Gossett Hall. According to the National Athletic Trainers Association, 1 in 5 athletes struggle with mental health.
There's a level of dehumanization that happens with athletes sometimes, which is really unfortunate because they do have things that are put on their plate, right? Their schedule is not always their own. They still have to go to classes. They still have to schedule their exams even when they're traveling.
Jackie Albanus is a social worker in the Clinical and Sports Psychology Department at Maryland Athletics.
So that's, I think, one of the things that we try and help support them with is knowing that they're not just a number, they're not a statistic.
Maryland head coach John Tillman works with student athletes every day, and he sees the pressure increase in the modern age.
Whether it's social media, the way these kids are on TV, at games, you name it, they're always being judged. So I think it's hard for them to get a break just from that and just be kids.
Lloyd may wear Kaz's initials and number on his chin strap, but the memory of his friend has not only changed the way he plays lacrosse, but his outlook on life.
You know, it gave me a new perspective on, playing a sport with 50 of your closest brothers. It's, you're not there just to win, just to, be the best. You're here to, make friendships. You're here to support one another.
As for Lloyd's legacy, he may not have many accomplishments on the field, but there's no doubt he's left an impact on Maryland lacrosse.
Talking about your feelings, open yourself up, being vulnerable, that's usually not something most young males are comfortable doing. But I think Mitchell has opened the door and, reaffirmed to the guys, it's okay. It's okay, talk to me. We got to make sure we have healthy conversations.
I've dealt with injuries my 4 years here, and I've never have gotten much time on the field. But that's not the important thing to me. I think the more important thing is, being a good teammate, being someone that you can lean on, someone that you can rely on to always be there for you. I'd probably say that is what I want to leave behind here.
For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Daniel Stein.
And then two things from that. You and I discussed it. Daniel's interview framing, when talking to Mitchell Lloyd, rain in the background, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
But also, when talking to Daniel about it, he said one of the things that he talked about with Mitchell Lloyd, one of the things that he shares with John Tillman often is that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, I mean, we put these athletes under such a microscope all the time, and we usually only see them as people just playing on a field rather than also being human beings. So we kind of have to give these guys some leeways and understand what it's really like and what they really go through. But don't go anywhere, because coming up, TSC's Noah Gelly will break down the Terps' chances at making the NCAA tournament, followed by Aidan and I playing a game of two truths and a lie. Finally, we'll hand out our season awards. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Left Bench in Focus, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Aidan Currie, that's Christian Andriolas. And Christian, we have a game of two truths, one lie looming, but we're not quite there just yet because we got a little bracketology to hear about first.
Yeah, Maryland had sky-high expectations this year, and while the Terps haven't been dominant, that doesn't mean their season will end prematurely.
TSC's Noah Gelly has more on the Hard Shells tournament outlook. Noah, what are the Terps' chances at making the dance?
Guys, it's been a roller coaster of a season for Maryland's men lacrosse, and that ride is coming to an end with the NCAA tournament selection show on May 3rd. With the selection a week away, let's look at Maryland's outlook for their chances at a bid. 18 teams make the NCAA men's lacrosse tournament, and while Maryland is currently ranked 10th by Inside Lacrosse and 10th in RPI, and there's seemingly nothing to worry about for the Terps, that becomes a lot more interesting when you consider the format of who gets the bids. 10 of the 18 slots are given to automatic qualifiers, leaving just 8 spots for at-large bids. And keep in mind that the ACC doesn't qualify for any automatic bids. The main 3 criteria the selection committee looks at is strength of schedule, RPI, and overall record. Maryland is 7-5 on the season, including a 3-2 record in conference play. And while that record doesn't look great, the Terps have played the 8th toughest schedule in the country, which will boost their standing in the committee. Now looking at RPI, Maryland is ranked 10th according to Lacrosse Reference, squarely in the middle of all the other teams competing for those final at-bid spots. The Terps are 0-3 versus the top 5 RPI teams. However, they are 3-2 against teams 6 through 20, and a perfect 4-0 against teams ranked 21st and worst. When looking at the field, there are 5 teams that are definitely locked in the tournament. We have Notre Dame, Princeton, Richmond, North Carolina, and Syracuse. Johns Hopkins and Cornell are right there, and it's safe to assume they'll be in the tournament as well. So that would leave 4 at-large spots for 6 teams, being Maryland, Harvard, Virginia, Penn State, Yale, and Duke. Out of that group, Maryland is 3rd in RPI, 2nd in strength of schedule, and 3rd in win percentage. While it looks like Maryland would be in the field if the season ended today, conference tournaments are ramping up next week and could shake up the entire field, especially if Maryland is unable to win its game against Penn State in the Big Ten semifinals. And guys, Maryland will have a significant chance to boost all of their metrics as they take on Penn State in the aforementioned Big Ten tournament semifinals on Thursday. Maryland had its worst loss of the season against the Nittany Lions in its Big Ten opener, and a win would most likely secure the Terp spot in the NCAA tournament. We'll have to see what happens. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, Christian, if you told me at the beginning of the season that we have Noah on here, on In Focus, to tell us that they're probably in, but they're not for certain in, I would have been pretty surprised.
Yeah, I mean, ranked as the preseason #1 team and kind of fighting for your season going into the Big Ten tournament, it's not something you kind of plan on going into the season, but they have a lot of work to do, and they have another chance to do it playing Penn State again in the Big Ten tournament.
And as we mentioned, they've been fighting for their season for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, shifting away from that, it's now time for today's game. Christian and I are going to play 2 truths and a lie.
Yeah, here's how it works. Our producers will give us 3 statements, and we have to find the false one. Aidan, you ready to go?
I hope so. I feel like the last time we played a game, it didn't go great.
Yeah, no,
but
that was,
that's.
I feel like
that's
that might
kinda
not
what
have been
happened.
our
That happens
fault.
a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is what it is, yeah. All right, so Eric Spanos scored his 100th career goal Saturday against Rutgers, scored 8 goals in a game against Michigan this year, the most by a Terp in a game since 2021, and the last one is Maryland men's lacrosse. He's Maryland's men's lacrosse all-time goals leader.
I know the second. Well, I was pretty confident in the second one until
Yeah.
that 2021 qualifier, because I remember seeing that one, cutting the VO for this show.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, I'm almost confident that's true because, like you said, cutting the VO, and I remember editing a gamer from Noah, of all people, who was just on, and his angle was about the 8 goals by Spanos, so I feel like that's definitely one that's a truth. Scored a 100th career goal on Saturday against Rutgers. Do you think?
I feel like I didn't see that in.
Yeah, but
reading
also
from that.
all-time goals
All-time
leader?
goal scorer. I feel like
I
I think that might be the
Yeah,
lie.
I think that's the lie. We'll go with that.
We'll lock in that one.
We'll lock in that one. That's the lie. Maryland. Eric Spanos is Maryland men's lacrosse all-time goals leader. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so that's-
okay. We're 1 for 1.
Yeah, 1 for 1. I mean,
a
better
good
than we
place
were
to start.
doing last time for sure,
Yeah.
which is a good sign. So let's bring up our
the
next
second
one.
All right. John Tillman, sorry, I couldn't see the picture over the
Yeah, you're
teleprompter,
good.
but holds a bachelor's degree from Cornell in hotel administration. That's a new one. He has coached 4 Tewaaraton Award winners during his time at Maryland and has won 2 NCAA championships with UMD, most recently in 2022 when the Terps went 18-0.
Okay, so I feel like they might be trying to throw us off with the holds a bachelor's degree from Cornell in hotel administration because that seems so outlandish that it might be true.
That seems like the type of thing that's a UMD bio special. I feel like.
and I feel like Maryland has had a lot of players, and 4 Tewaaraton winners seems like it could be possible too. And I feel, they won in 2022. I feel like that's true, 100%. So we're definitely between those two. What do you think? What do you think?
I want to say the middle one. I feel like the top one's about Cornell is the most outlandish, which is why I think that's true.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with them. I'm gonna go with the middle one.
I'll agree with you. We'll go with the lie being he's coached 4 Tewaaraton winners during his time at Maryland. Wow. Gosh.
Coached 3. Just
He's
3.
coached 3. Okay, 3. That's
Just
still
3.
a lot.
I mean, that's still a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3. Imagine saying just 3. That's the type of
Just 3.
That's the type of program Maryland has
Yeah.
built a reputation of. All right, let's get to our last
third
one.
one.
I think this is okay. Theodore Roosevelt was president during Maryland's inaugural season. That seems wild. In his 2021 Tewaaraton winning season, Jared Bernhardt scored 71 goals and 99 points. And the last one is TSC alum Brandon Schwartzberg served as the Diamondback men's lacrosse beat writer in 2024.
So this is just general knowledge.
Yeah,
now.
okay.
All right.
Less about
B.
the team.
Schwartzberg.
I feel like that's definitely true.
That's
that
true.
Was freshman year, right?
I remember, yes,
Yeah.
I remember Brandon Schwartzberg, TSC editor-in-chief and men's lacrosse.
Yeah.
He was big time. 2024.
I mean, what about Theodore Roosevelt, president during Maryland's? And I feel like, has lacrosse been around for that long?
I would like to think so.
I don't know.
I think that might be it.
The lie?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's.
I'm gonna go. I think I would go with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the
that
lie.
one because
All right.
I feel like lacrosse is a relatively new sport, and being around for that long, I just I don't think that's why I went
Yeah,
with it.
I think
It was Calvin
Coolidge.
That's what the producers are telling us.
interesting. I'm gonna pretend like I know what time.
Yeah,
frame
that
we're
was
looking at.
before Roosevelt, though, wasn't it?
You would remember better than me.
Oh, it was
man.
after. Okay, maybe I
Yeah.
need to stock up on my presidential knowledge.
I think
That's my fault.
we played the nice, like, they put a lie in a different spot each time. So
Yeah.
I think that was a pretty predictable.
Yeah. A newcomer is often a player with little collegiate experience, but with the Terps being a team dominated by upperclassmen, Leo Johnson's fellow Yale transfer, Chris Lyons, earns Newcomer of the Year. After spending his undergraduate seasons at Yale, Lyons has been one of the most important players on Maryland's offense in 2026. The graduate has scored in all but one game and is third on the team with 18 goals, while adding 4 assists. He scored 4 goals in a game twice, doing it against Loyola and Delaware. Congratulations to Chris Lyons on being named our Newcomer of the Year.
And as you mentioned, Christian, a team full of newcomers, and for our Terp of the Year, we had to go with another newcomer, a guy we heard from earlier on the show. It's Leo Johnson. Johnson's stats spoke for themselves this season. The grad student led the Terps with 27 goals and 19 assists. Those marks put him at 4th and 2nd in the Big Ten respectively, and the deadly mix of scoring and facilitating gave him the second most goal contributions in the conference. Not too bad for Leo Johnson's lone season with the Hardshells. And now it's the best time of the day, top 5 plays.
Yeah, top 5 plays. Let's get into it. I'll start. First play, at number 5, we have Matt Higgins falling down against UVA. That goal proved crucial because Maryland ended up winning by 1, and we might catch a little bit and see how they did that later on in this top 5.
Yeah. And then, next we have a callback to the game we just played. It's the 8-goal game by Eric Spanos. There's a reason why he's wearing number 1. It's because he does things like that.
Yeah, I mean, wearing number 1, he's got to do things like that to prove his worth. And at number 3, we have Zach Witter with the game winner against UVA, as I mentioned before. Huge win for Maryland at the time against a ranked team.
Yeah, running across the length of the field, too. And then now we have a little bit of love for the goalkeeper. Enrique, back-to-back saves, dive, and that's just putting the body on the line. That's your job if you're a goalkeeper, right?
Yeah,
Stop anything that moves.
He's been pretty good this season, but now we're on to number 1, the play that might as well save the season. Riley Reese's overtime goal against Ohio State, the game winner, a guy who I believe it was his first career goal, was a game winner in overtime against a team that they were not favored to beat. That was the biggest play of the season, and that's why we have it at number 1.
Yeah, you mentioned a season-saving, season-defining play by
Yeah,
Riley Reese.
What Riley Reese being able to come in and do what he's done has been incredible for them.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, that does it for this episode of the Left Bench in Focus. Make sure to keep up with us with all of our coverage on Instagram, X, YouTube, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
Yeah. And with the semester winding down, this marks our final time behind the desk. And Christian, it's sad to say, but we only have one more edition of the Left Bench this spring.
Yeah, bittersweet indeed, because we'll have Eddie Calkins and Drew Owens behind the desk next Monday for the final time anchoring the Left Bench.
Yeah. We promise it'll be a fun one, and we hope you can all tune in.